Suzanne Emma, actor Emeka Ike's wife, gives shocking revelation of her abusive marriage to Emeka Ike. And this interview was done on Nigeria Gossip Mail or something like that. I mean, this is shocking and is embarrassing. I want you all to listen to this interview and just have an open mind and listen. A lot of people have this kind of toxic marriage. When I mean toxic, very, very toxic marriage. According to her, she was able to leave. Eventually, she left the marriage. But if what she's saying is true, or if it's not, I think Emeka Ike needs to come out and do a damage control, because this is not how we see Emeka. This is not who we thought that he is, because those of us that grew up with him when he was acting in the 90s and early 2000s, we saw him as our role model. So for him to be described in this manner, I think he needs to come out and explain more. So I'm going to play her interview so that you all can listen to this interview. It's very shocking. I'm telling you. She opened up and she's even telling Emeka Ike to sue her. Listen, please.
I was almost paralyzed. So that was when I decided
share, please.
I need to go. But still, I stayed 2 more years after that,
Oh, no.
But he beat you until you were almost paralyzed.
Yes, he did. We had gone out with the kids and we came back, and I was changing my daughter, and he saw, her nappy rash, and it was a bad nappy rash, and it was all over the place, angry and all that she'd been molested. And I said, how? This is nappy rash. And he was going on and shouting, who did I give his daughter to, this and that, and they need to check her and everything. And I tried to calm him down that this is nappy rash. I use Vaseline instead of powder. That's why it's so red, that kind of thing. And he was going on and on, and I was like, okay. And at that point I was getting upset, like, you can't be doing this. And then I was like, okay, give me money, let me take her to the hospital and let's get her checked. And then he hit me. And at that point I had you can't keep beating me up, and I held his hand, and so he just turned me over and hit me, and then he hit me at the back of my neck here, and that was it. I lost sensation to all my body parts. I went down on the floor. I couldn't feel my arms, I couldn't feel anything, and he kept hitting me. He kept hitting me, and I was shouting, Emeka, if you hit me one more time, I would die. I can't feel anything. I was only seeing the stars. So when he hits me, it goes poof, that kind of thing. And that was only what I was saying. I could talk, I could hear, I could see, but I couldn't feel. This was in front of our kids. This was in front of his PA at that time, Debola. And I was, trying to move my body. My body wasn't moving, So when he realized himself, he got up, he walked out of the house. And I was there for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, I don't know. I was still trying to move my body. And then I felt this sensation all over, like a million pins, poking me, pricking me and everything. And I think the nerves were beginning to connect or something, And then I got up. And that was when I saw the boy, Debola, peeking from the door. I guess I told the boy to come and check if I died. That kind of thing. And then I spoke the boy's name. I said, Debola. And the boy ran out. I think he didn't want to come close so that they don't say he's the one that killed me or something. And then I heard his car drive off. And I picked my children and I ran to a friend's house. He's denying it, but there are people that I run to their houses every time he beats me up. People that I run to their houses in the middle of the night. People that I run to their houses and I collapse. All this happened and they are living witnesses. I have pictures. I presented those pictures during the divorce. I still have those pictures, but I'll only give my evidences in court.
All right, so for the kids' well-being, you have him have custody of the children,
yes.
And the court determine that and say you could have access.
Yes. And my lawyers had advised that it is a high court, because this was customary court, because we were only married traditionally. It was only that traditional marriage that we had. We never did the formal one of going to the registry, because he always has one woman out there who wants to give him American papers, or who wants to give him this paper and that paper. But I never consented to it, because I would always say, you go there and you marry these women for papers in front of God and the minister. You're not saying this is fake, this is for paper.
So he keeps the children away from you as some kind of punishment after the divorce?
Yes.
And then tells them that you have abandoned them?
Yes. Yes. When I reconciled with them, I didn't want to come out and say, oh, I'm here to get you, I'm your mom and this and that. I have custody of you, because I was awarded sole custody of the children. Well, I had to build my relationship back with them and let them, know me again. My daughter didn't recognize me. She thought the other lady was her mom, because she was 2 when she was taken away from me. When I had left with my 2 younger kids, because I felt they still needed me.
You said this marriage was abusive almost from the get-go. So you mentioned it was financial abuse, it was verbal abuse, it was emotional abuse.
Yes.
What do you mean by verbal and emotional abuse?
Insults. Putting you down every time.
So you had a terrible temper?
Yes. When I got out and I was in a friend's car, I didn't know I used to sit like this. And that was because of the lashing. I jumped out of a moving vehicle before. I've attempted suicide 3 times. Relationship back with them and let them, know me again. My daughter didn't recognize me. She thought the other lady was her mom, because she was 2 when she was taken away from me. When I had left with my 2 younger kids, because I felt they still needed me.
You said this marriage was abusive almost from the get-go. So you mentioned it was financial abuse, it was verbal abuse, it was emotional abuse.
Yes.
What do you mean by verbal and emotional abuse?
Insults, putting you down every time.
So you had a terrible temper?
Yes. When I got out and I was in a friend's car, I didn't know I used to sit like this. And that was because of the lashing. I jumped out of a moving vehicle before. I've attempted suicide 3 times.
Because of your husband?
Yes. He's not saying all these things. The pastors, the church will send pastors to our house. And he's out there, I'm in the bathroom, I want to slit my wrist. I've bought pack of blade. And him and the pastors are out there banging down my door. Banging down the bathroom door. You understand? Because it was, somehow I preferred physical. I preferred him to beat me than to say things to me.
So the words he was saying to you were so horrible that you wanted to take your own life?
Yes. He would describe you like you are an imbecile. He would describe you like you are not worth anything.
And when did the physical violence start?
That started, like I said, when I started fighting back. Because, and I think he did feel that I was growing wings and I needed to be, clamped down. So that was when it started. There was a time we went to the hospital, my child was sick, and we didn't have money, and I was trying to negotiate with the hospital if they could treat the child and we'll pay later. And it was taking a little bit of time, and it just came in and was yelling at me, "You're a fool, you don't know how to do things. What are these people, you can't even talk to them. Who are they? They are beneath you, and you're allowing them to do this and do that." And I got upset. I was like, "Why are you being a jerk?" And excuse my language. And I went off into the car to sit down, and immediately he was coming into the car. His punch was the first thing that I was seeing on my jaw. Right in front of people in the car park, so things like that. You dare not speak back. You dare not look him in the eye and talk when he's at it. It was always, you have to do this, you have to do that. I made you. You made me. I was 18. I was pregnant with 2 of your kids when I got into the university. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. You understand? But that didn't mean that I have to be under you. I needed to be somebody of my own. I needed to have my own path in life. But he wouldn't accept anything. He wouldn't accept anything. The house, he said, he's claiming that he built for my mom. He didn't build her any house. My mom's house was built in the 70s. How old was he in the 70s? She was renovating. and she was doing the back, and as a son-in-law, yes, he did give her a gift, you understand, which we're grateful for, you understand, but he never built a house for her. He keeps blowing things out of proportion, you understand. And then the school he's claiming about, I mean, we didn't spend that much money.
So you spent 450 million naira went down the drain.
That's the new amount now. It used to be 100 million. Now it's 480 million. The school didn't cost us that much. We were still owing the owner of the house. We had leased the building for 10 years because it wasn't really completed, and we're going to complete it and do other things and then make it suitable for a school and all that. But we didn't even complete the building. You understand? So we wouldn't have spent about 30 million, 20 million, but for publicity's sake, at first he was claiming it was 100 million, and now I don't know where 480 million is coming from.
Is it perhaps that it was paid in dollars and so using the exchange rate?
Yeah.
Okay. So the school thing, so he says that you took his school. Let's take the allegations one after the other.
Okay.
He says you took the school from him. Is that true?
I left in the middle of the term.
Right.
I left in October. The school ran till full term, and they were dispersed. I don't know. I was not in the picture.
So you don't know what happened to this
school? I don't
school?
know what happened. I only found out that he didn't resume the school in January, and he had moved with the children to Abuja. Right. So I never knew. I don't know.
Then he says that he went to the UK, to the US with a luggage. And by the time he came, you had swept everything clean from him.
Okay. So at that time, we didn't have money.
Okay.
The landlord had kicked us out of the house. The time we were given had come to an end. So we decided to move some things to the school compound because we still had space, we're still building, it's not filled with children and all that, so we had space. So I moved some things into the school compound, and I was living with his mom. I was sleeping on the floor with my kids in his mom's small apartment. You understand? So I'll come from Isolo to Magodo every day to run the school. So that's where the move is coming from. You understand? But at that time I had planned to leave.
Okay.
So he traveled. When he was within Nigeria, he traveled too.
Okay.
So when I was moving, I selected my things and kept them aside with my 2 younger children. You understand? So when he landed and he called me to tell me he had landed, and I said, I've moved out. And he said, is that what you want? I said, yes. He said, let's keep it quiet. I don't want anything in the media. I don't want to anything. And I said, okay, no problem. And I've been keeping quiet for 10 years. He has been the one doing all the talking right now. He
says that you assaulted his mother.
Yes.
Is that true?
No.
What happened?
That's quite the opposite.
Okay.
So I just gave birth to our last child, and his mom, was coming to help out. And his mom will come Monday to Friday. She leaves on Friday that she must go to church. She must attend her church. So my mom comes Friday to Monday. My mom will leave in the morning on Monday morning. There was this one day his mom accosted my mom as my, we're all out there talking and laughing and all that. My mom then picked her bag and said she was leaving. And by the time she got into the middle of the compound, his mom jacked my mom's clothes and was shouting and saying my mom has stolen her son's money again. My mom should give her her money. She needs her money. She wants to do things. She can't do anything. And my mom is here stealing her son's money. And she tore my mom's clothes, and my mom was naked. And my mom was like, can you find your son's money on me? My mom emptied her bags and everything and, trying to say that I don't have any money on me. Which money have I stolen? You understand? And I got upset and I told her, Mommy, I am tired. I am tired. You can have your son back. And I picked my kids and I left. The next day, he called the pastor, he called me, we came back, and his sister was there and, ranting. She would have beat up my mom if my mom was still around, that my mom beat up her mother. And I was like, I don't understand. And she said, yes, that's what they're saying. And I was like, no, that never happened, And his mom, after everything, had told me that Emeka was the one propelling the beating part, that she never told anyone anybody ever beat her.
So Emeka's mother said she never told anybody. She said she never said
anybody beat her, that he, my husband, was the one that was propelling it, that she was beaten up.
What you're describing is a deeply toxic situation.
This is what I lived. This is what I lived 14 years of my life.
But there's also the other allegation of his properties that you essentially have taken away.
When I left, I only took my clothes, my international passport, my certificates, my 2 children and their clothes. That was the only thing I took. I'm not in possession of his properties, where I did know their locations and all that. But how would you sell somebody's property if you don't have the papers or documents?
So you don't have any land documents?
I don't have anything. He's the one who, I have heard, has been selling off his properties. You know, we couldn't even finish our buildings and all that because of his drug use. We couldn't make things out of life. We couldn't do anything with, we couldn't plan. We couldn't go ahead with our plans because of his drug use.
So he had a drug problem?
Yes.
When you say drug, what do you mean by drug?
Well, I didn't know he was taking drugs. It was when my kids came back, they told me their dad takes drugs.
What kinds of drugs?
Meds, whatever. They said they found his paraphernalia, and that made me realize why money would finish, why we would plan and say, okay, this money is coming in, we need to do this, we're going to do this, and all of a sudden, money is gone.
You just described him as a drug addict, essentially.
Yes.
Do you think the drugs that you've alleged contributed to this entire lack of peace?
Yeah, he might have. I'm not a medical person, but I think he might have. Even when I found out that he used to smoke marijuana, I had kicked against it. What I said is what makes him sane. He said it's what calms him down. And they tried to make me understand that it's medicinal, it's, it's okay, and, he needs it. But I don't know.
What made you keep coming back? This is a man who, you've described that he beats you in front of your children. He beats you in the car park in front of the hospital people. He called you stupid and dumb. His sister and his brother had attacked you. What made you keep coming back to that marriage?
I don't know. Because, how do I put it? In hindsight, I think it's grooming. It's grooming. And he was threatening to kill me. This man almost poured hot cooking oil on me at the time. He will carry a knife and he will be walking up and down the house. I'll just kill you and nobody will know. Nobody will find out. I'll just finish you off. And the day he carried the hot oil, if I did not howl, I had to howl and clap my hands. And then he dropped the hot oil and he walked out and he was still even bragging and everything. And I was on the phone with my sister crying and, he just poured hot oil on me. And myself like, no, he's only bragging. He's only trying to, he won't do it. That was all I kept hearing.
Talking about friends, he said that some people were blackmailing you. That's why you broke up with him, or that's why you had the divorce.
I don't know anybody. I don't know any such. If he claims I took his properties, go to court. When my mother died, he arrested me. My mother was 2 weeks in the mortuary. I was in SARS, Ikeja, Area F, Area H. No, after I left, you understand. He said I absconded with his children and everything. It was the boss of the police who had told me that he can always arrest you. He can harass you because he's still your husband. If you don't want him anymore, you need to divorce him. So immediately I came back from my mom's burial. Then I went ahead with because he was arresting my friends. He was making sure that people run away from me. I lost people. People were scared. People didn't want to. Yes. Nobody buried my mother with me. No friend. It was
Because
only
he scared
people
everybody
because he
away.
scared everybody away. I buried my mom alone. And I'm her last born. My 2 sisters couldn't come from wherever they were. But because of this man, I didn't have the backing that I needed, the support that I needed. You understand? So, it's...
What you're describing, though, is because you talked about teaching your children about the psychopath and the sociopath. If you are correct in everything you've just described about the actor Emeka Ike, your ex-husband, you were dealing with a sociopath
Yes,
because
I was. There was a day that he had finished beating me and I was on the floor looking at him, and then he was walking away. He came back and he was like, it's not me, it's you making me do it. And then he rang a bell because I like to watch Crime Channel, which he had even accused me of wanting to kill him. So I'm looking for the best possible means. But it was a police work, I would always say, if I was abroad, I would do police work. I like the police work. I like cold cases where they really dig and, this kind of thing. But something that struck me when he had said, it's not me, it's you. That denial, that putting the blame on the victim and all that. And I quickly Googled, psychopath, but sociopath was the first, and they had 10 characteristics, and all 10 described this person. All 10. And I called my sister and said, look at what I found, look at this, this is what I'm facing, this is actually what is going on. My sister was like, then me too, I am one now. You know how family will always try to water down whatever you're trying to bring up. And it wasn't until after I left and he had said something and done something, and my sister was like, Emma, I see it now. You were right.
as you said, it fits the profile of a sociopath, and it makes sense. Why would he say all these things on live television when you have evidence, when there are people who were witnessing it, when there are friends, family that can confirm it?
Yes. I think he's really convinced I won't speak out. I think so. I think he really feels that he finished the job. She's never going to talk. I think so. Yeah, and I'm very sure this is going to be a shocker to him when this airs. I think so. In fact, I'm expecting him to sue me because I don't expect him to really stop, but I would rather we go legal, that's the way I do things. Let's, just iron things out. I'm here because he dragged me here. He's been dragging me here for the past 10 years.